I'm now starting investigations on why the Firewire port doesn't work. Turned the machine upside down, and it turns out this is not quite a no expenses spared machine. And the bottom panel is made from plastic. And here is the Firewire port. Nice solid construction. It's screwed in place, so there is no way you're going to rip the connector off by plugging in a cable with too much force. All this little board does, as you can see, is it connects the Firewire jack through to an internal connector, and that connects via a cable to the processor board in the back of the unit. And I was able to check continuity from this Firewire jack all the way to the connector in the back. It's all fine, but I had to unplug the connector in the back from the processor board. With it plugged in, I was getting all kinds of short circuits between pins. So, yeah, there might be a problem on the processor board. Looking at the schematic, the Firewire port comes in right there, or DV port more accurately, then goes to the connector, cable, and that connects to the processor board JC13, and the data lines run straight over and into IC702. This is the Firewire interface chip. Now, that does not necessarily have to be bad. As you can see, we do have 4 resistors connecting to the data lines, and those then connect the circuit up here and down there. So there is a chance that this is fine and there is something wrong up here or right there. But if we now look at the real JC13, the DV port connects right there, but then what? I can't do anything on here. This is way too complex. So unfortunately, that is where the repair attempt of the DV port has to end. Let's now turn our attention to the mechanism. As I've already said, if it's not broken, don't fix it. However, I have made out 2 spots which I think are easily accessible and definitely deserve some attention. The first one is right here. Now I have a tape in the machine, that's why there is a ton of noise. So the pinch roller is in the downwards position. If you unload the tape, the pinch roller drives upwards out of the way. And it does that by riding up and down on this shaft. Now, the mechanism that does that, it's called a tower gear. And the problem, and this can also happen in VHS VCRs, if there is any grease or oil on this shaft getting hard, this can get stuck. And if it is stuck and the pinch roller tries to move, the tower gear is going to break. So that's easy to take care of. You can already see there is like this little brass cup, and that is like screaming for a drop of oil. So that's what it's going to get. I have some fine all-purpose oil in this syringe, which the camera probably can't focus on. So I'm going to use the syringe. This is giving me the sort of precision that I need to apply. Well, that's 1 drop roundabout, and the cup is only half full, so I'm going to apply a little bit more. Okay, that's enough. The cup is now full. So I'm going to unload the cassette. Okay, let's put the cassette right back in. Work the mechanism a little bit. You can see drives down. The shaft is now nice and oily, so that's that problem solved. Let's eject once again to gain access to the next part. Now you can see down here, you can actually see it really well. There are two tape guides riding along here, just like on a VHS machine. And you can actually see the tape guide riding along has scratched the chassis right there. So that should get some attention. Now I have a Q-tip here, and I'm just going to go over this. It seems like there is grease there, but it's definitely not sufficient. So let's see this. Okay. Yeah, that's not really helping anything. So the next thing that I have is some white lithium grease that I'm going to very carefully apply. And I'm just going to put that along this track. Yeah, see, that's too much. Okay. It's just... I'm not sure how much you can actually see of this. I'm sorry if this, if you can't see anything and it's terribly boring, but seems like there's quite a big surface area there that needs to be covered. I'm using a Q-tip to apply the grease, so I can be sure that it goes wherever it should go. I'm still looking for a good source of lithium grease, white lithium grease. I guess you should be able to get it out of just like a tube or something. Right now I have a spray can and it's absolutely a terrible solution. Get in here and make sure I don't get the grease on the pinch roller. That would be a disaster. And get back out. Because what I'm having to do with the spray can is I spray the lithium grease out of the spray can into a container, and then right now I'm taking the grease out of that container, and there has got to be a better solution than that. Now, conveniently, the head drum has this large plastic cover over it, so I can't accidentally touch that. You should now be able to see I have lithium grease applied to those tracks. It's not much. It should be enough to make those tape guides move a little bit more easily. And of course, this is a thing, you know, there is a lot of plastic in this mechanism. You can never know what gears are made from plastic. And if the tape guides at some point become too difficult to move, some plastic gear might break. Okay, tape guides are in place. You can kind of see where they went along on the newly applied grease. And oh, looking at this, if we look down there, you can actually see where the tape guide runs along. And to finish off this mechanism, let's do some cleaning. I'm going to use some isopropyl alcohol on a Q-tip, and see, again, I'm not messing with the tape guides because they don't need it. They are clean, but I do see some dirt buildups on the capstan. So you can kind of see my Q-tip right there. Got to apply a little bit more force to this. And then you can manually turn the capstan, which in this machine that goes really easy. There is no flywheel attached to that capstan. You turn it, and then you can continue your cleaning in a different position. Okay, that's the capstan sufficiently clean. Can't see any bigger chunks of dirt on that anymore. Now, cleaning the head drum is probably the most risky operation that you can do. I'm going to do it to get sort of a baseline on how dirty this is, and if there is no dirt, then I won't mess with it any further. But I have a little piece of folded paper here, which I'm going to soak into head cleaner. And let me find a position from which I can do this. Let's see, yeah, that could work. So bring the paper down here and bring it down, okay, over the heads. I'm going to push it in place with my finger, and then I'm carefully going to turn the drum manually. That's enough. Let's take out the piece of paper. And as you can see, that was worthwhile. There is a bit of dirt on the paper. So I'm going to repeat this operation once more. And as you can see, no dirt this time. So that's the head drum, nice and clean. And since MiniDV does not have any stationary heads anymore, that's it. Here is the annoying cooling fan taken out, and I already peeled off this label. It's a 12-volt fan. I'm sure you could get a replacement for this, but let's try fixing it. Peeling off the label gives you access to the bearing. There is this clip in there, which I can hopefully get out. Right there. Okay. Now I can hopefully release the fan, the rotor. Is there? Oh, there is this thing, this red thing in there. Let's get that out and out of the way. And now, there we go. There we go. That's the fan taken apart. That's what the inside of the fan looks like. And that is where I shall now apply a bit of oil. Out comes the syringe for some more all-purpose oil. Okay. Let's see if we can... That may have already been too much. It's kind of, let's see. Let's just make sure the oil doesn't get all over the coils. Okay. Now, the rotor, I think I'm going to put a little drop of oil on the rotor too. That's enough. Now this can go back together. Okay. It's actually, it wants to go back together. It's pulled in by the magnet. Fan is back together. Let's apply power. Oh, can you hear that? I mean, it's still making noise, but this is 1,000 times better than it was before. I'm happy with that. And here is the Sony DHR-1000VC put back together and cleaned as good as I could. Unfortunately, these spots are in the paint. They won't come out. But it's all ready to go. I ran various DV cassettes through this for about 3 hours, over 3 hours actually, and no problems. Unfortunately, the DV port remains broken, so no transfers of DV tapes to the computer with this machine, but it is still going to be very useful for shuttling through DV tapes prior to transfer, just to find out what's even on them. That would be a pain on a little DV camcorder. On this machine, you have all these controls, and you don't even have to stay at the machine, because this is also a remote control. And that's it for today. Thank you for watching.